This is such a horribly designed mall, realistically. You have to go all the way to the other side to go down, and all the way to one specific side to go up with the escalators, rather than being side by side. Oh, let's track it. Which key goes to the shop? Oh, this one. So if I want to win this one, it's just RNG. Oh, God. I still can't believe the RNG earlier this stream of everyone getting it immediately. Like, what? I'm never gonna get over that.
Start.
Like, how? How does that even happen? Average American mall be like, what? Are they designed poorly? All right, well, I swear Spike gets it immediately. I wonder if the AI, based on the difficulty level, would have a lower chance of getting through. Or if it is just pure RNG and they do guess randomly. All right, so square doesn't work in center. And hexagon doesn't work in center either. Wow, you can tell that's not Charles Martinet. But, gonna go center. Wow, you are. You're narrowing it down for me. Okay, so circle or triangle are the center one. I have a 50-50 shot here. There we go, cool. I've never been to America, but I've heard they're much worse than most other places in the world. Yeah. Yeah, pretty much. Like, I was born in the States. I come from Texas. I don't have any memory of that because I was 2 months old when I moved here. And I'm sure my family and I traveled to the States a couple times. While I was growing up, though I wouldn't remember that. I was in the States earlier this year. I was in Louisiana and Texas. Very different culture than here, for sure. Poor Bowser Jr. I definitely will prefer living here. Like, especially in the southern United States, there's definitely a very strong gun culture. Like, I know that's generally like that in the States, but like, especially in the South, it feels like. Like, my goodness gracious. Great, you found it, thanks. Like, the rules here in Canada, when it comes to guns, are like, pretty strict mostly. Like, you can still get like firearms and stuff. Like, I now have a firearms license as of 2 days ago. I finally got it in the mail. Since that was something that my dad wanted me to get, since that's a hobby of his. So while we were down in the States, we ended up going to a shooting range because he wanted to say that he went to like a shooting range in Texas. And we decided to rent a rifle to like shoot at some targets down the range. And here in Canada, there's like very strict guidelines for like the maximum amount of bullets a magazine can hold. So like, you're not allowed to have a magazine that goes over this capacity, so it can't be used as like, you know, a weapon where you're taking out like a whole bunch of people and before you even have to reload, where it's like significantly more dangerous when you can hold so many more bullets. Well, at the shooting range in Texas that we were at, we rented this rifle and they gave us the magazine for it. And they're like, here's your magazine. It holds 30 rounds. Like, wow. And it's not even like a semi-automatic, like it's a single shot at a time rifle. Like, so every time you pull the trigger, it's gonna shoot once. 30 times before it runs out. Like, you would never see something like that in Canada, as far as I'm aware. Got my grand prize ball. Like, I was flabbergasted. We'd be shooting at that target for a while before running out. Sometimes we'd even trade like mid-magazine before it ran out. Like, someone shoots like 10 or 15 and it's like, all right, let's pass it off to the other person and then shoot some more. Just like, holy crap. It was so much. I got an ornament. Wow. Crazy, man. Oh, that's one I already did. So like, yeah. If I ever do it, it'll be off camera, I guess, now at this point. Can I interact with this? Okay, maybe I just have to go down the, wait, I can't go down? Is the boxes blocking here? How do I ever go down again? What? Oh, I can go that way for down. Whoops. Gosh dang it. Well, here's this. My markup stickers. Where do you find them? Thanks for bringing them back. And here are many stars a reward. Or also at the shooting range there, where they had like guns for sale. There were some extremely tiny ones. I think the smallest one there was probably about like yay long in diameter. Like a very tiny thing that you could put in a pocket. You would not be able to find something like that for sale in Canada. That would be insanely highly illegal. And apparently concealed carry is like a very standard thing there. You can't concealed carry in Canada. You technically can in like a roundabout way, where if you're transporting guns here in Canada, you need to have them be clearly marked that they're transporting guns, like if you have it in a case or something like that. But as long as you have like the label of a gun manufacturer on the case, then it doesn't count as concealed carry. So you can have a rifle in a guitar case and it has the label of some sort of gun manufacturer and it doesn't count as concealed carry here in Canada. So there's some dumb rules that don't really make much sense here, but concealed carry in like the standard sense where it's like, yeah, maybe you're hiding a firearm under your shirt or something like that, or you have like a little holster like right on the side here hidden under your jacket. Yeah, like at least in Alberta. I don't know about other provinces, but I'm pretty sure in other provinces as well, that's not the kind of thing that you'd see here. And across like my dad's friends that we met when we were down in Texas, there was nobody there that was doing like concealed carry or anything. But apparently when my dad was visiting like his sister, so my aunt and her son in the States, apparently he would concealed carry, and apparently he showed my dad his concealed carry when the topic came up just in the middle of a restaurant, and my dad was like really surprised and stunned that he had a gun just there in the middle of the restaurant. And it's like, wow, yeah, that's not the kind of thing that you would see here. So, and that was not in like the southern states, that was elsewhere. So yeah, there's definitely a lot more of a gun culture in the States, to the point that it's a bit concerning. And I don't think I'd ever want to live in the States. I don't think here. Like the whole gun culture, private healthcare, the mess that's going on with the government right now. Like Canada has more than its fair share of problems, but I would definitely much rather be here than down in the country I was born in. If Flores does a shopping mall have? The country I was born in scares me a little bit. And the next presidential election is coming up next month. Maybe it will have even happened by the time this is published on YouTube. And no matter what happens with the election, I have no doubt there's gonna be riots. And considering we're right next door neighbors to the States, so what's going on there very greatly affects us too. I'm very afraid of what's going to happen after this next election. Let's see here. What's going on with the government, if you may ask? Have you not heard about like the whole situation with like Trump versus Kamala with the presidential election coming up here? That's 4. Correct, here's a mini star as a reward. Do you want to keep going with the quiz? Sure. Yes, quiz time. It's a bit of a mess. Doing this specific thing will let you pull a drawing from the raffle shop. What is it? The specific thing will let you... What's the raffle shop? It's not that thing up there, is it? With the ball? Will let you pull a drawing from the raffle shop. I don't even know. What's the raffle shop? Buy an item, I guess, sure. Because it's, yeah, if you're not sure about like what's going on in the States, I can give like the very quick Spark Notes summary of like US politics right now. What shop does the Golden Goomba run on the 3rd floor? I don't know. I would assume gold shop. Well, I guess so. Don't know what the gold is. Like coins or something? But like, what would you shop for then? It's quiz time. Maybe you buy like the dice blocks that give you coins as you go. Something like that. Where are the elections being next month? Very close to Brotherhood, but I'm not familiar with like the candidates and stuff that's going on there. What floor is the raffle shop on? I don't know what the raffle shop is. Like, I know that there's like the place where you redeem the stamps. It's probably not that. 2nd floor. Maybe it is the thing with the balls up there. Wanna keep going with the thing? Yeah, it's quiz time. What shape is the water fountain at the center of the shopping mall? Well, it's not an oval. Like, well, I guess it is. I would think it's an oval, but that's not an option here. Oh, well. Collect 3 armor mini stars, Waluigi. I have a prize for you. Please come over here. Like, for a while, you had, like, Trump running versus Biden. Now, by the issue of the government in, like, the 2-party system or the presidential rule or something more current. Something more current, but, like, the 2-party system is still, like, majorly flawed. Where it's, like, if you're not voting, then it's basically, like, you're voting against the one that you would otherwise want. And the 2-party system is just not great. But yeah, in terms of the candidates, first it was Trump versus Biden, and Biden does not really know what he's doing at all and doesn't seem to understand where he is half the time. So, like, I guess the Democrats realize that if they want to have a chance, they gotta pull him from running and have, like, the vice president be the one that's running here with Kamala Harris. And the Democrat Party is, like, very par for the course and, like, the things that they want to do. Like, it's very standard. They're probably gonna keep things, like, mostly the same as things usually go, is the case here. the Republican side with Trump right now. For one, Trump has been found guilty on many fronts. Like, he is literally a convicted felon, and yet he's able to run as the president of the United States. Like, is there any other country where a convicted felon can run as president? Like, is that a thing in other countries, or is it just the United States? So that's majorly concerning there, first and foremost. His strategy to try and garner votes is basically just to have like a scapegoat, basically like for example, I know that this is going to be like a very drastic comparison here, but it's a comparison that a lot of people would be able to get. When Hitler was running for power, he was blaming everything on the Jews. They're the source of like all our problems here. They're the reason that we have all these problems. Everything needs to be blamed on them. And people were like, whoa, they are the problem. We gotta vote for him so he does something about this problem. That's what Trump is now doing with immigrants. When he was running the first time, like many years ago, and first got into presidency, he was basically blaming all this country's issues on Mexicans. Like, there are these illegal immigrants that are coming in and they're causing all these issues. We have to build a wall to stop them from getting in. Not realizing that that's just going to make things worse, because a lot of the immigrants that come from Mexico to the States for work is usually to support their families in Mexico, so they would want to go back home later. And if you build a wall, like, they're not going to be able to go back home, and they're now staying in your country, and you've just like completely missed the point. Like, so, but that was his plan, was build a wall. That's what he was gonna do, and make Mexico pay for it. That was his whole thing, because they're the source of all problems. Now in his current running, that bubble of who's the problem has grown to not just Mexicans, but immigrants in general. And it feels like that has cropped up a lot in like the past few months in particular, where it's like, immigrants, they're the source of all our problems. They're taking all our jobs. They're eating our pets. It's awful. And that's literally something he said during one of the presidential debates, is that they're eating the cats, they're eating the dogs in Springfield. And it got like memed to oblivion, because there was like some sort of news article that came out of like some Haitian or something like that eating someone's pet in like some place of the States, and I don't remember like where it was. And from that one instance, like, Trump got word of it, and he's like, this is something that immigrants are doing in general. They're eating your pets, all these illegal immigrants. So like, even if something is something that like really occurred, even if it's like a one-off, he's going to treat it like it's just something that happens sometimes. It's something that they're doing. The source of all the problems is those darn Mexicans, those darn illegal immigrants, those darn transgenders. They're the source of all our problems. Like, they're going for their that's another thing I forgot to mention. That's another scapegoat, is those of the LGBTQ community, especially transgenders. That's like one of the big cruxes of what Trump is targeting, and all this political propaganda that will show like this 30-year-old man like dressed up in something feminine, and the propaganda will be like, this is who Kamala Harris wants your little girl to be going up against in sports. And it's like, no, that's not the case, but that's basically what they put out there. And yeah, it's certainly something. So yeah, isn't America almost all immigrants? Yeah, and technically if you go back like several generations, apart from the First Nations, America is made up of immigrants, like, in the first place. Like, the people that were here in North America the longest would be the First Nations peoples, the Aboriginals. So like, you trace back like several generations, and almost everybody else here is going to be an immigrant anyway. Like, maybe people have been in here for like a few generations at this point, but like, trace back, and it is still like mostly immigrants. And there's still a lot of immigration that comes in, because America still portrays itself as like, oh, America is where you can achieve the American dream. Come here and get a job and like make it big, because that's what's possible in America. Even though that's really not what the Republican Party wants to be parading anymore. They want to be like, no, stay out of our country. This is just for pure-blooded Americans. I don't really know what a pure-blooded American would be, because yeah, like, and it's the same with Canada. Like, we're basically all immigrants if you trace things back so many generations. And like, Canada here, I'd say we're a lot more accepting to other races and other peoples. except for First Nations people, for whatever reason, Canada is like weirdly racist to the people that have been here the longest. When Canada is supposed to be all about celebrating like our diversity and different people coming together, Canada is like incredibly racist towards First Nation peoples. So I don't know why, like what's with that logic, but that's a big problem here in Canada. But it is still better here. And like Canada's a lot better at acknowledging like, hey, we're basically a whole bunch of immigrants all coming together. It's just we have a racism problem where it's like we like the immigrants, but we don't like those that aren't immigrants that have been here for like thousands of years. But in the States now with the Republican Party, it's just like, yeah, all immigrants, they're the source of all issues. Like the Mexicans, they're taking our jobs. The Haitians, they're eating our pets. And the Native Americans here that aren't immigrants, that are transgender, they're taking all these positions that would go to other people otherwise. And what are they saying that they're doing? They're getting ready to assault people in bathrooms, I think is probably another thing that they'd be parading. What else are things they say? I don't actually know off the top of my head, but I know that they're blaming them for things. Because, like, of course they would. But yeah, dude, when everyone is the problem for you, maybe you're the problem. Yeah, they probably haven't considered that. So do they want to go back to isolationism? It seems kind of like, but it's also like, ironic though in that it doesn't really make much sense, like when you consider some of their other policies where like it's still a very private healthcare system, for example, and the Democratic Party has tried before to make things lean a little bit more towards socialist kind of norms. Like here in Canada we have public healthcare, so like if you get your arm broken or something like that, you can go to the hospital, you're gonna get that fixed up, and you're not gonna be losing an arm and a leg and like paying for fees because it's public healthcare that's being paid for with taxes. There is still like some things that are privatized healthcare, like physiotherapy, for example. I do have health insurance, and like physiotherapy didn't cost me that much, like that, because that counts as like unessential healthcare, sort of. So like there is still health insurance here for stuff like that. But if you need to go like to the hospital, you're not gonna have to worry about like drowning in medical fees or anything like that, unlike the States. And Canada clearly shows the public healthcare system works. It's not perfect. There is like incredibly long wait times. Like if you're in an emergency with healthcare, you are going to like immediately be rushed to hospital and get the health that you need. If it's non-essential, like if you don't need a surgery or something like that immediately, you're gonna be waiting a long time. My Oma waited like 2 years for her hip surgery, like her hip replacement surgery. It was insane. And my dad was waiting years for his knee replacement surgeries. So if it's non-essential, prepare to wait a long time. But if it is essential, then you will get rushed into care because obviously you need urgent care. So that is definitely one downside of this system. Plus, after like all the stress of COVID, there was a lot of like doctors and people in the medical field that quit because of like how many people were suddenly coming in with COVID and like how overwhelming it was and how demanding people were with them, thinking that they had to have like all the solutions constantly. So we definitely saw like a bit of a decrease in staff in the medical field during the COVID years. So wait times have not exactly improved much. And a lot of places in Europe also show that the public healthcare system works. Like, again, it's not perfect. We have our problems, but I will gladly take potentially needing to wait like a year or two over, oh, we had to admit you owe us like $100,000 or something like that. Like, yeah, I think I'd prefer waiting. So with the irony of potential isolationism and focusing on America first, they still want to focus more on private healthcare, the Republican Party. So again, the Democratic Party has experimented with like some slight moves towards more public healthcare, like with Obamacare, for example, when Obama was in presidency, but it hasn't done anything like super major before. And there's a lot of pushback by Americans that are like, what? Why should my taxes have to pay for someone else's healthcare? It's like, well, it works elsewhere. And because it's a private healthcare system, the hospitals can get away with charging like way more than they need to charge because it isn't considered like part of the public domain that needs to be covered by taxes. And they do get away with charging like way more than they would under a public healthcare system as well. But everyone in the States is just so averse to the idea of having to pay for other people's healthcare, where it's like, shouldn't that count as like an essential need for like society? Like your taxes pay for things like police, for example, that count as like an essential need for society. Why shouldn't healthcare be under that label? Like healthcare sounds pretty essential to me. But with the going back to the isolationism thing here, the whole being like, we don't want to bring other immigrants in, we want to focus on like supporting Americans first. It's like, okay, if you're going to support Americans first, then why don't you make public health care? No, that's basically communism. Like, that's going to be a slippery slope to like something really bad. All socialism is any kind of socialism is basically communism. It's all bad. It's all this super terrible evil that you shouldn't even consider. Having to pay for someone else's healthcare, why would you consider doing that? So it feels very much like the Democratic Party is just here to keep things kind of par for the course and standard, whereas the Republican Party is here to try and make the decisions that are going to best support those that are already rich and powerful in the states, rather than the little guy. And it's very extremely concerning. And it's also got to be very stressful for Trump, considering, again, he's a convicted felon. So if he doesn't get into presidency, there is a good chance that he goes to jail. So he might also be trying his best here to get into presidency to avoid jail time. So that could also be another motive here on why he's going to like such drastic methods of like blaming everyone else and making scapegoats that some people are buying into. Like, some people think that he's like the only chance for the country. And like, being someone here living in Canada, I look at that, I'm like, how the heck, like, are people buying into this? Like, I usually don't get too political on stream, but like, usually what it is in the States is like, oh yeah, there's two opposing parties that have like different policies and they're all gonna have like different influences on the country. But this time, like, I look at it and it's like, all right, well, there's one party that's just gonna be like pretty par for the course, keep things pretty standard and keep going on the same train. And then the other, that's like this batshit insane party that's gonna turn the entire country over and hopefully not start World War III. Because that is definitely a serious concern there, considering some of the things that Trump plans to do. Like, for one, Ukraine is holding its own right now, and doing all, well, why did that just zoom in? Ukraine is actually holding its own against Russia, surprisingly, with like a lot of the support from other countries around the world. A lot of that support being from support from the States is helping them stay in the fight as long as this. If Trump gets into power, the plan is to pull out support from Ukraine. And if that happens, like, Russia is just going to overtake Ukraine and win immediately. And then is that going to be its own slippery slope? Where do you really think that Russia is going to stop there at Ukraine? What if they want to take over other places? Like, I know that they've had their eye on Ukraine specifically for a long time, but they could go for other places. And the rest of the world seeing that the States is backing out of like support of these powers invading one another, that could make China go, maybe it's time to invade Taiwan. And it could make North Korea go, maybe it's time to invade South Korea. Like, if Trump gets into power and goes into like, yep, we're supporting Americans, although like only rich Americans, and not really worrying about like immigrants or other places in the world like much at all anymore, it is going to be extremely bad for Ukraine. It's going to be extremely bad for Taiwan. It's going to be extremely bad for South Korea. And I worry about things spiraling and starting World War III. So like, I'm really hoping that Trump doesn't get into power, because like, it's going to be genuinely concerning for the planet in general, with all these other major powers that don't have the best intentions in mind for other places, that think that could be their chance to make a move. Iran is another one that could potentially try to make a move on some of the surrounding area, like Israel. And the stuff going on in Israel right now is like pretty awful as well. But that's a whole nother subject matter. So yeah, the current state of things in the States is a bit scary, and the fact that it seems like it's going to be as close as it probably is extremely scary. I genuinely don't know how as many people have rallied behind Trump as there has been. Like, some people are treating him like he's the second coming of Christ, and like, he's the one chance for America to get back on its feet after all this crap that everyone's been going through with the Democratic Party, and all this crap that they've had to go through because of those evil immigrants and transgenders and foreign powers and stuff, and we need to stop getting involved in all that and just focus on like the rich people here. It's like, if you're a very rich person in the States, I could see why you'd vote for Trump. But if you're just like the common everyday average person, I don't know why you would. So yeah, the stuff with North Korea is certainly something. And yeah, it's probably accidentally seeing the hand gestures. Agree with the public healthcare system, it has its issues like with anything, but it's so much better than anything else. Yeah, Like, I think in Canada, we could make a lot of improvements to our healthcare system, but that improvement is never going to be going private. Can't comprehend why people have such a high opinion of Trump. I don't get it either. And yeah, like, with Biden, it's just like, what is he even doing? He doesn't know where he is half the time. So it was like a very, very good move by the Democratic Party to have Kamala, the vice president, be running instead here. But there's like also so many rumors that have been spread around as well by like people that want Trump to be getting into power. Like people being like, oh, because she's a woman that raised in power, that just means that she slept her way to the top. Like, that is genuinely something that a lot of people believe, is that she slept her way to the top. Like, what? How? Do you know just how many people she would need to sleep with to do that? Like, especially considering votes that she's won before. Like, that is genuinely a thing that some people believe. Like, what? Like, I don't look at the Democratic Party and think like, oh my goodness, they're like such amazing angels that are just like perfect. Again, like the two-party system where you only have one choice or the other. It's highly flawed when you only get to choose one or the other. Slept, had sex with is the case. What about Trump then? Yeah, it's funny. No one's saying that about Trump, even though I'm pretty sure Trump has cheated on every single one of his wives that he's had. Like, and that's some of the things that, like, he's been convicted of when he's been not so great with, like, staff at places. I'm fairly certain. Like, I haven't followed this, like, super closely, but I remember hearing that there. So, yeah, this stuff is being said about Kamala, like, on zero grounds, and not the person where it's like, yeah, that is definitely the case. I believe so. I believe I have dual citizenship. One time I remember traveling through the states, and the one specific airport, like I was going on the way through the states to Costa Rica, and the one specific airport said, we're just going to count you as like Canadian citizen, as they weren't sure how to treat my dual citizenship. But I'm pretty sure I do count as like being a native born American, which means I could technically run for president. No, and another thing worth mentioning with Trump, the last thing I want to bring up about him, is now his relationship with Elon Musk. That's a big thing lately as well. That also gives him a lot of influence. There was a time that Trump and Elon used to hate one another. They'd be at one another's throats. You would never see them together. But once they realized with this election that they can scratch one another's back and it can be majorly beneficial for both of these rich white men, they've started sucking one another's dicks, like very much so. So, when they went from hating one another to being like super buddy because Elon realized that Trump could give Elon a lot more power, and vice versa there, where Elon has a lot of influence on the world as well, because there's a lot of people that look at Elon as well like he's the second coming of Christ. And now he has his own platform of X, that is supposedly his free speech platform, even though there's a lot of things that the left isn't allowed to say that the right is allowed to say. But no, it's the one platform of free speech where you can get like the uncensored news, even though like his platform X, like X Twitter here, is very, very highly censored towards the right. I just browse around Twitter for memes sometimes for my going live notifications, but I swear, like, I get, like, political stuff come up on my timeline sometimes as I'm browsing through memes. I basically only follow meme accounts, is basically what it is on Twitter, and, like, people that I know. And I do have political stuff come up. Sometimes it's from the left. It's usually from the right. I'd say it's probably a little bit more than 2/3 of the time from the right, the stuff that gets sent to me, which I don't know why. Like, I'd say that I'm probably a bit centrist, maybe a little bit more left, like, is what I would say. But I get sent stuff from the right all the time going on that platform. And I get sent stuff from Elon all the time. Like, I don't follow him. I have never reacted to any one of his posts before. I've never liked anything of his. I've never retweeted anything of his. I've never commented anything of his. I don't follow him. And yet, I feel like I get his tweets all the time. And to the point that it's like, holy crap, how much does this guy tweet in a day? Constantly. And I remember mentioning that on stream once, and someone in my chat said that apparently, like, he complains to the employees of the platform that he wasn't getting enough exposure, and so they had to edit the algorithm to, like, give him, like, extra brownie points and send his stuff out more. So you go on Twitter, like, at all, and you won't be able to stop yourself from seeing Elon Musk being like, man, if Kamala Harris gets elected, it's going to be the last election that happens because all the immigrants are going to come in because of her, and then obviously they're going to vote for the Democratic Party, so the Republican Party never has a chance ever again, so it's never going to be a fair election ever again because all these immigrants are going to be swaying the vote away from like the Native Americans. Like, it's going to be so awful if Kamala gets in. We're never going to have like a truly fair election ever again. Whereas it's like, if you look at the things the Republican Party is trying to do to give the president even more power and turn it even more towards a dictatorship, I'm more concerned about the Republicans getting in and there not being like a true fair election again. I mean, even the way that elections are handled as is, they're not fair with like the whole, what is it called? Like House of Representatives system or whatever the heck that is in the States, where it's like in Canada, you just vote for who you want to vote for. Whereas in the States, I'm pretty sure it's like you vote for the representative that votes for the actual candidate. So it's like, even if there's a majority, that doesn't necessarily mean that you win, is how I think it works in the States. I don't know. It's been a while since my history class is on the topic, but it's a little bit of a mess. But yeah, let's see here. And Trump says that the other party changes their opinions every election. He'll put words in the mouth of the other party of whatever sounds the best for him and makes it sound like the other side is out of their minds, is what he does. Like the whole thing, Bob, with oh yeah, this 30-year-old man is gonna be, this who identifies as transgender is gonna be going up in sports against your little girl. Like, what? That doesn't even make any sense at all. Like, this stuff is just made up all the time. Or like the whole eating pets thing, where it's like, they're eating the pets in Springfield. Like, no. So yeah, he likes to make stuff up a lot. And it's so funny to see people that identify like all the lies and like presidential debates and stuff that he says, and just how much there is. Like, I don't get why he has so much support. And same with Elon, and so many people that are like, oh, Elon really does have the only true platform of free speech left, and we gotta go with him and Trump, and our only chance at saving America is in the hands of Elon and Trump. Like, it's such a mess. But yeah, how many immigrants are they counting for then? 50 million in 4 years? Like, I'm not sure, like, where's the cutoff? Because again, at some point, everybody that isn't First Nations / Aboriginal here, whichever is your more favorable term, anyone that isn't that is gonna be like an immigrant in the States. Like, well, almost everyone. Like, there are those outside of that group, like natives from South America, for example, that would go up. But just excluding anyone that has been here on the continent of North America and South America natively for the past several thousand years. Like, so around 1500 onward, 1492, I believe, onward. Trace back however long, and everyone is technically an immigrant on this continent outside of natives. So it's like, how many generations back are we going? How many years back are we going? Because, like... But yeah. And yeah, there's no direct vote for the president there. Studying politics in your school, I know some of this stuff about the presidential system in the US. Okay. Yeah, I remember learning about it in high school and like how you don't actually directly vote for them. I find it really funny because Trump got banned from Twitter in 2021. Yep. And then Elon ended up being stuck in the situation where he had to buy Twitter after all, where where he was like, oh yeah, I could buy Twitter easily. You know, I think I want to buy Twitter. You know, I actually don't want to buy Twitter. I changed my mind. And then Twitter's stock plummeted just from him making that decision. Like, the platform got so devalued just from him backing out of doing it. So then Twitter sued him, being like, no, you are buying us for like the original price that you offered, because you completely screwed our company out by just saying yes then no. And the fact that somebody has so much power to be like, I'm gonna buy that, no, I'm not gonna buy that, to completely screw that company over just by saying that is so messed up. Like, how do we live in a world where that's possible? So Twitter forced him to buy it, and he bought it for 44 billion, and I think Twitter's worth, or X's worth now, is like 10 or 11 billion, something like that. So like, the value of it has completely plummeted. And apparently they're changing how block works now, where it's like blocking someone doesn't actually block them anymore, even though that goes against the terms of service for the Apple Store and the Google Play Store. So I don't know if they're going to be able to get away with that. And a lot of people are like jumping ship. A lot of people have been jumping ship with a lot of Elon's changes. The one good change that has happened to Twitter since Elon bought it was community notes, where it's like, if someone is saying something factually incorrect, then community notes underneath can like basically fact check it and say, like, hey, here's context for readers. This is actually the truth. You can find out more information here. And then that person's post gets demonetized so they don't profit off of false information. That was a good change. And I've heard that apparently Twitter was already planning to do that before Elon took over, so that it's not even something that you can credit Elon for. But apart from that, it's literally only been like negative changes. I almost said positive for some reason. So yeah, there's that. So it's both funny and terrible at the same time. What, the collapse of Twitter? Like, so many people have jumped ship from that platform. Like, it's such a mess now. Like, even more so than before. It's never like Twitter was like a bastion of like good opinions or anything like that, or like really thought out arguments. Like, Twitter is where you go to when you want to see people with like two brain cells bash those brain cells against one another. Like, you would not be finding like in-depth discussion on that platform. That's the last place that you would think to go. Like, I would sooner choose Reddit over Twitter if I was trying to find like an intellectual, educated discussion. And that's saying something. But now it's even worse. And I feel like now that like the algorithm has been changed with the way that Elon likes for his free speech, I feel like most of the people that are still around there are those that are either obsessed with Trump, Elon, or very heavily right-leaning and want to be on a platform that parades around like mostly right-leaning opinions and subject matter and stuff like that. So yeah, there's that whole situation. Also, just imagine Waluigi trauma dumping his thoughts on the USA political system to the Tony, just being unable to do anything. That made you almost laugh out loud. Yeah, we've been explaining this whole time, just stopped here. And this Toad is like, holy shit, I'm so glad I'm in the Mario world. Means I won't be able to immigrate to the States. Oh my goodness, they probably hate me. Oh, meant more how much influence one person backing off from buying something can have. Yeah. There's so many things like that where it's like, why is that a thing? Like the fact that someone can say they're going to buy something, back out, and then that company's stock plummets and their whole company evaluation just goes down so dramatically because of that. Another thing is, like, if anyone knows the situation with GameStop stock several years ago, there was a lot of rich people that were getting even richer, because I am not an expert at stocks at all, so I don't know exactly how this works, but essentially you can make a bet that the stock of this company is going to keep going down and then make money off of that. Like, some way that you manage the stocks is basically you profiting off of you successfully predicting a company's like continued downfall. And as video games are becoming more and more into the digital space, more and more people are going digital rather than physical. Physical game locations are dying out, like both with like digital games and the fact that freemium games are picking up so much, which are always going to be digital only and not physical. So like the physical game market has been slowly dying for a long time, so stock like GameStop has been steadily going down. So there's a lot of rich people on Wall Street that have been consistently betting on like GameStop stock continuing to go down for a long time and making big money off of that. And then there was the whole Wall Street bets on Reddit that was like, you know what, let's just stick it to the big guys and say, screw you, like, profiting off of this. Let's just buy a whole bunch of GameStop stock. So all these super rich people that were making so much money off of GameStop's downfall were suddenly losing money because a whole bunch of common people were saying, no, screw you. I'm just buying like a whole bunch of GameStop stock, not for their own profit, but just to like raise the stock price. And it went up like so dang high. And there was a lot of rich people that lost so much money off of it, to the point that they started changing the rules of like what stocks you are allowed to buy, just because they were afraid of like them losing more money. So like Robinhood, which was a platform where you can buy and sell stocks, for example, they started closing GameStop stocks and putting more restrictions on it because they got complaints from the big wigs that they were losing money when the same rules that they were profiting off of were being used against them. And the fact that they have the influence to change those rules when they feel like it's not benefiting them anymore is like so disgusting. So the fact that you can, like, the whole stock market is just like a crazy can of worms I don't understand the first thing about. But the fact that you can basically profit off of like a company's continued downfall, and those that are uber rich can just bend the rules however they want when stuff isn't going that right for them. Like, we all follow the same rules as long as it benefits us. If it no longer benefits us, we're gonna change the rules. Like, what? And there was actually a movie that was made about it. Like, this was a very recent thing from a few years ago, and already there's been a movie made about it. I think I watched it on Amazon. What was it called? I think it was called Dumb Money, because the super rich people would basically be calling the the little guy's Dumb Money. I think that's the name of the movie. Let me look it up. Dumb Money. Hold on. Yeah, 2023 film, so it just came out last year. And yeah, based on a true story about this situation with the GameStop stock. I don't know what's with the reviews here. It was actually a really interesting watch because this is something that happened just a few years ago in real life. And like really illustrate a lot of interesting things going on in our world. So I actually thought that this was an interesting watch, not gonna lie. I don't know what's available on, but would recommend Dumb Money for those interested. Let me switch my input back over here. I just needed to have a look-see at that. So yeah, but it is definitely an interesting thing. But yeah, it's another one of those things where it's like, why are things designed this way to allow that in the first place, and why are they allowed to bend the rules? And man, the amount of rules that Trump wants to bend if he gets in, and especially Vance, there are some rules that Vance wants to put into effect, like Project 2025, that Trump is like, no, I'm definitely not gonna do that if I get into presidency. Probably just because it's like so drastic and crazy that he's worried that if he said that he would, that like he wouldn't get as many votes, but he would probably put Project 2025 into effect, which is a crazy rabbit hole that I was only told about like on stream one day, that I don't want to ramble too much about things here any further. And I'm no expert on Project 2025. I only briefly skimmed some of the main details on it first, but like it really sounds like it's moving the states more towards a dictatorship if it does get enacted. I've been going on Reddit for help with different stuff, and from what reviews you left so far on different games and albums, it wasn't the worst thing in the world. And people were overall accepting, even with your wild opinions on stuff like Paul McCartney's Pipes of Peace being an amazing album, or most think it's just alright or even bad. Interesting. Because I know that Reddit has like the good and the bad. And we usually, when I hear about it, it's usually the bad, because that's the funnier thing for people to spread around and make fun of. Wait, why does it look like the red Koopa is thank you and not the toad? The speech bubble's coming from there. Alright, well, I wasn't planning on getting political this stream, but let's advance the cutscene now. But yeah, that's United States politics in a nutshell. And again, I have like a very surface level understanding of what's going on. Like, I have not at all gone like deep into the weeds here. But my understanding is far more than several, like a great number of Americans that are going to be voting, which is a little scary. Because yeah, a lot of people are just like, yeah, that's what social media tells me. That's what the people I look up to tell me, like Elon, for example. This is what's being paraded around on the social media that I use, so this is the way that I'm going to go. Oh, this person says that this other person said this thing? Oh, I'm definitely going to immediately believe that. Or like, maybe not to that degree, but then it gets ingrained as like, oh, that is something that they said. Maybe that will influence my decision. Like, I try to inform myself in like the bare bones here to kind of get a general idea of what's going on. But I think that that's more than a lot of people in the States can say, which is really scary. And I'm honestly really, really scared for next month when the election happens. Because either the ship is going to keep sailing the same way that it has been sailing, or the planet in general is going to be turned on its head. Like the States especially, and like Canada to a pretty decent degree. But give it some time and it's going to greatly affect the world. Like the thing that I'm most scared about for the world is being pulled out of Ukraine, Russia successfully completing its invasion, and then China and North Korea thinking that now it's the go-ahead to invade the places that they want to invade. Oh, and Iran as well. China, Iran, and North Korea being like, yep, now it's time to get the go-ahead there. And it's possible that Russia, Iran, China, and North Korea might potentially go into like some sort of alliance where it's like, yeah, we all have places that we want to conquer, let's work at it together instead. Maybe. Like, it's not super clear cut like that would happen. Like, they do have their fair amount of disagreements. They don't exactly play nice with one another, but they do have mutual interest in conquering other places of the world. Well, speaking about Taiwan, isn't it crazy how much influence China has on the world that if you look at something like the Olympics, you're not even allowed to say that Taiwan is a country there, or call people from Taiwan competing in the Olympics Taiwanese. Like, it's what is it? Like some sort of other Chinese, they're called at places like the Olympics because of how much influence China has. And yeah, let's see here. But yeah, imagine politics jump scare someone would have after watching a bunch of streamers play Mario Party. Yep, pretty much here. Still not sure if the Typhlosion story is real or not. There's been an updated version of the translation that wasn't just put through like Google Translate. There is a better translation apparently. But Israel, that's cool to fight for you just because how people reacted to it, even if it was so tame. Yeah, I feel like that whole situation with Pokemon wasn't as controversial and incriminating for Pokemon as it was just like people are just laughing, having a good time. Like, what? That's really something that was found? That's crazy. And the whole Pokemon community just like collectively laughing at something for once just because it's kind of funny. But yeah, you're also worried about World War III happening. Didn't know that because you're not really into sports. I'm not into sports either, but I am into politics to like a little bit of a degree, so I know that because of that. And I don't even watch the Olympics. So yeah, apparently as far as the Olympics are concerned, Taiwan isn't a real country because China says it's so, and China has so much money and influence that yeah, that's the way it's gonna be. And like so much in media and like movies as well. There's a lot of movies that China funds to a degree and makes it so that like China is portrayed in a good light, and oftentimes movies will have like a Chinese character put in there to be shown as like a really positive good character. And there's going to be no mention of Taiwan. They make sure of that. You mentioned Taiwan existing in your movie is not going to be screened in China. Like, that's basically how that works. One example of China shoehorning in like a positive Chinese character would be in Moonfall, which I only saw semi-recently. Because I heard that it was a really, really bad movie, and I watched it, and man, I was not disappointed. That movie sucks Elon Musk's dick twice. It's just such a typical disaster movie in like so many ways that it's like terribly amazing. The story always does exactly the things that it needs to. It has like this crazy lore that all gets dumped in like a minute, and that's it, in just like one big explanation. It's just so bad. But one of the characters in it is this nanny who's Chinese, that of course is always going to be looking perfectly after the kid and even saving other characters when the time comes, as the moon is literally falling on the earth. And the little kid that she's looking after is like speaking perfect Chinese because of her. And yeah, that came from Chinese bucks that got that to happen, to put this character into of that happen. I remember hearing it. It's been a while since hearing that, so like don't quote me on this, but I'm fairly certain I remember hearing that in like a film review of it a couple of years ago. And then when I watched it for the first time about a month ago, it all came back to me like, oh, I remember that now. Oh, I see where the Chinese money went. Yeah, China very much scares me. One of my coworkers where I work is Chinese. He's a close friend of mine, like, and he's really nice. And he moved here and works here because he did not want to stay in China for well, I can say obvious reasons here. And like, he's like one of the nicest guys I know. He's great. But yeah, he would rather be here rather than rather than there. But yeah, oh yeah, Disney's Mulan. Remember what a shithole that was? Was that paid for with like influence there as well? And I remember watching the live action Mulan, and I thought it was so bad. Like, it's been a long time since I watched the original Mulan, but I remember really liking that. But man, the live action one was so bad. And just completely missed the message. Also, while mentioning war, you've heard from a friend of yours that in one of the European countries influenced by the recent floods, a prime minister was considered to declare war against beavers to stop the flooding, which I still find just a funny thing that happened. Wouldn't it be like the opposite way around? Oh wait, I guess it depends on how the beavers are blocking water. Like if they're blocking water in such a way that it redirects it to populated areas. Mega Rocky Ranch, sorry about this, but looks like areas setting up has been blocked again. Now have to battle to get the mini stars back. I remember hearing about the time that Australia declared war on emus, I think it was. He says, we want the mini stars back, then you have to battle for them. That sounds serious. Yeah, sure, let's do it. We've got these guys in the mix. Luigi, Goomba, Birdo, Wario, but not everyone can come to this. And I can only shuffle squad. Oh, I think that was actually the squad that I wanted. Yeah, let's do this. Talking literally about the animal beaver. You probably was confused. Oh, you missed the whole political talk where I was just rambling for the past, what, like 20 minutes? Who knows how much it was, about the mess that is United States politics right now. And how screwed everything is down there. Beavers were done with humans and wanted to flood them, basically, have been the thought process. So let's use this squad. I'll probably do this boss battle, then wrap up the stream. That's what I'll probably do. Yeah, this has definitely been the most political stream in, well, since Mario and Luigi Partners in Time. Probably even more so than then. Alright, so just aim and fire cannon. Alright, well, that's easy. So just like an arcade shooter. Thought it was slang beaver and thought this is unnecessarily vulgar. Look at that, dude. Slang is basically like a bit of a buzzword or something that you say like in first time hearing it. Something that is like more of a local slang meaning kind of thing. It's something that has like unique meaning in maybe like a region or something like that. Like you could say that, thinking about stuff along that lines, you could say that a Johnson is a slang way of saying a dick or something like that, because some people call it that. Or I don't know, what else is slang? A cup of joe is slang for coffee. Like, it's a way of saying that. Like, it's basically figures of speech that mean other things, or like words that might mean other things, like that. Well, look like it's made of chocolate woody. Well, it looks really tasty. Like, that's what slang means, essentially. Pew pew. Yeah, it's just an arcade shooter here, is what it'd be. So you've got slang terms for all sorts of different things, is the case. I love how the big mole himself doesn't actually do anything. I keep on thinking that my icon's blue and not, like, pink here. We have to shoot the big wrench or something here? Well, I guess so, a whole bunch of times. Guess that's what's happening here. Many pews. You know what slang? Just never heard of the beaver one. Oh, okay, gotcha. Wow, I'm tied for most points. How does Goomba shoot, I wonder? Finish! Cool. Well, that's probably enough for this stream. I've been streaming for over 6 hours. Middle management achievement earned. And man, I'm getting a little bit Mario Party out. The beaver flow to be literal when you said it. Mega Rocky Wrench seems upset but willing to return the mini stars after losing to you. What happens if they just refuse even after losing? Is there anything we can do about it then? You're okay with the mini stars, look! Looks like the lights are working again. Yay! Clear. Mega Rocky Wrench Wreckers clear. Look how happy Goomba is. Keeps on moving. Got a decoration item, boss topiary. A topiary reminiscent of the heated Mega Rocky Wrench battle at Rainbow Galleria. Try decorating Party Plaza with it. Anyone who came running to help will head back now. Thanks for joining in the battle. But yeah, in terms of like political stuff, I know a lot of content creators like try to avoid politics in general because they're afraid of like alienating part of their fan base. I'm really not all that secretive about my political views. Anyone asks me, like, I'll say what they are. Like, I'm pretty sure I made it pretty clear in this last stream what my political views are. Things are finally settled, and I'll set to head to the venue. And if you want to see more of my political views, like my stance on nuclear energy, check out the part of Mario and Luigi Partners in Time playthrough that I think it's somewhere in the 30s, I think, and I think the part is titled "Let's Get Controversial." I don't know. It was titled something like that. If you want to see even more of my political views, well, thanks to you, it seems like we'll be able to continue setting up. How about those mini stars you collected? I'm gonna display them all right here so everyone can see them. Hope everyone who sees will remember how Waluigi helped out. Let's keep on working together to set up other venues. Now I can finally give it to you, a prize from me. But I am also the kind of person where it's like, politically, you believe whatever you believe. I'm not gonna be going at someone's throat because of it. Like, some people turn it into like a super big deal where it's like, what the heck? How would you possibly think such a thing? Like, that's so completely awful. I'm gonna treat you as less than human. But yeah, I don't really care. Someone tells me they're voting for Trump, I will raise an eyebrow, but I don't care really. I do care about the potential impact on the world, but like, but yeah, if anyone ever wants to know like my political views on anything, like you can literally just ask me and I'll tell you. I know that like the safest thing for our content creators is just never get into it at all, because there's always gonna be people that dislike your answer and then are like, yeah, I don't think I can watch this creator anymore. Like, who knows? Maybe there will be some people watching this in the future that are like, oh man, I don't think I can watch Acoustic Harmonia anymore. Like, the things that he's saying is just so awful. Like, he's so completely obviously in the wrong. Like, there's always going to be people that feel that, like, no matter what you believe or what your political views are. So it's like, whatever. So I know some creators are just like, let's just have it be secret so that, like, all the people that I disagree with my political views don't know that I'm disagreeing with it, so that they don't actually leave. But yeah, I've never been like super concerned about that kind of thing. Like, I guess it's especially big content creators that would care about that kind of thing, like people that have it as like their career. Who knows? Maybe one day I make it big in content creation and it's like, oh god, I hope nobody digs up like the old VODs from years ago of me getting like super political and find out I said all this awful stuff those years ago. Imagine when people try to like dig around for dirt to use against me. But yeah, let's see here. So yeah, there's that. I don't think anything came of it, because you haven't heard news about it since. Okay. Checked in, it was the Donald Tusk of Poland that you believe blamed it on the beavers. At least that's what the articles say. Donald Tusk also sounds funny in English. It also sounds like what a love child of Elon Musk and Donald Trump would sound like. Or something, I don't know, this is similar to both their names. Don't really care about one's political videos, watch both conservative and more liberal streamers / YouTubers. Yeah, and I think that's the way to go. Like, I think the worst thing that you can do is be exposed to just like one side of things. Like if you go on a platform like Twitter as your only social media, which is obviously a lot more right-leaning than left. I think that the worst thing is being like overexposed to just one side, because then that side seems like it's so obviously in the right and you don't even want to consider like the other viewpoint. So I think that it's important to be taking both in and considering both viewpoints and coming to your own decision, rather than it seeming like, oh, this is the only obvious decision. Like, is definitely a problem for some people. Like, there are definitely a lot of people, especially with like social media, that tries to create echo chambers, and platforms try to get more ad revenue off of you through retention, so it only makes sense to try to keep you on the platform longer. So platforms will purposefully try to show you stuff that you already agree with to keep up your retention and keep you on the platform longer. And sometimes they'll sprinkle in just a little bit of something that they were sure you'll obviously disagree with, just so that's like, wow, it's so obvious that that's so completely wrong. Like, how could it not be obvious to everyone else that that's completely wrong? And then it gets you like to stay on the platform in like a more hateful way, and then they're gonna like comfortably feed you more stuff that you agree with, and it's just like this awful toxic loop. And I could ramble on about how I hate like the modern online sphere like for so long on that front, and how it just promotes like really unhealthy mentalities in people. Usually don't use Twitter, all good. What, then you can't follow me on it? No, like I would not recommend Twitter. I don't think I would have recommended Twitter before Elon, and now I especially don't. But like the best thing that you can do is be watching the news from time to time, be watching like different outlets that are going to be having different biases. Like, you can try to find an outlet that's biasless, but that's not really possible, I don't really think. There are definitely some platforms that are better than others, but I think that's good to like be exposed to like both different sides and be able to take in what it is they're arguing and why, and then come to your own decision after you've heard the different sides, rather than just hearing one side and being like, yep, that is the case, or only ever seeing what you agree with, and then being like, yep, that's so obviously the case, I'm not going to want to change my mind otherwise. Because it feels like there is no middle ground anymore when it comes to like political stuff. It feels like you're either considered to be far on one side or far on the other side, even if you're not. And that's the way that a lot of people probably are, with the way that social media gets them to be. Like, it feels like centrist isn't really much of a thing anymore. And you say that you're centrist and the other side will probably just treat you like an enemy, is what the current political spheres kind of feel like. Which is, yeah. And like I was saying earlier, I would consider myself basically to be like centrist / a bit more left, is where I'm at. And the whole idea that it's like, if you're right, you have to believe this. If you're left, you have to believe this. It's like, well, what if I agree with this, I agree with this, I agree with that, and I agree with that? Like, what if it's that kind of case? But yeah, that's, at least in terms of what the media will tell you, that's not really an option anymore, in terms of what other people will consider you to be. Yeah, and it could also be the case with online, where it's like, let's say on this side, I agree with these 3 things, and on this side, I agree with these 2 things, and I say on social media, I agree with that one thing. Then people will just assume that you agree with everything that for some reason is counted as in that bubble, instead of counting like, hey, maybe these are all individual things that people might believe individually, rather than you believe one thing and you agree with everything else of that party. Like, because that's not really how it works. Opinions are going to be different on different things if you take the time to actually do research instead of just saying you're of this side, so everything that this side says is wrong. Because there's always going to be things I disagree with both parties. For example, like, again, like, I don't think that the Democratic Party in the States is like some amazing angel that's gonna do like the absolute best thing for the country and like, oh my goodness, it's so amazing. Like, nah, they're okay. I just think the other side's crazy. That's basically what it is. I think that they're pretty like standard, while the other side is like time to induce chaos and like support the rich. That's my opinion on the matter. So yeah, like, it's very black and white is what people tend to look at it as. Like, so it's difficult to have like a true discussion and conversation on matters. If I can recommend some channels for people to watch that I like to watch here and there for like being informed about different things and different political topics, one of my here's two favorites that I have on YouTube. If I look one up here, I've been listening to a lot of this channel's videos during work, because these videos are mostly audio based. Like, there is like visuals with graphs and stuff like that that are handy sometimes, but it's mostly audio that I would just listen to. So while I'm doing work stuff at the university where I don't need to be paying attention sound wise to me tinkering out on a spreadsheet, so my sound engagement can be something else. Yeah, you could say it's basically like podcasts. This is the channel that I've been listening to a lot lately. I really like real life lore. I think real life lore is really interesting to kind of put into perspective, like some of the ongoing world events. You love this channel? It's so good. Like, I really like it. You can see what ones I've clicked on are typically the ones that are more like current rather than like some of the hypotheticals is like some of the ones that I've prioritized. But I am getting through like watching more and more because I do think that's really interesting. So I really like real life lore because it's just like, yep, these are the facts of like what's going on. And sometimes I'll click over to just see the video to see like the graphs and illustrations and stuff like that. So real life lore I really like. And in terms of like political discussions of like political stances and stuff like that, my favorite one to go to is called Common Ground Conversations. I think that that's a pretty good channel here. I don't know how often he uploads. Let's see here. All right, the last one was 7 months ago, it looks like. So it's not super frequent. But usually when it comes to people that do like interviews in the streets and stuff and ask people what they think, usually the interviewer themselves is like very clearly leaning towards one side or the other and tries to like inject their own thoughts into someone else's thing. Like, they're interviewing someone on the streets and it's like, oh, they're saying something that I agree with. I'll just like nod and be like, yep, and add some more things. Oh, they're saying something I disagree with. I'm gonna challenge them on that and make it seem like it's not the case. And I'm gonna clearly have a better argument here because I came into this prepared. Like, as opposed to like the random passerby on the street that was not expecting to do this today. What I like with this guy is, although Soda Mugs is rating with a party of 3, we were talking about politics. You came just in time for us to talk about politics. We're talking about like sources that I like to go to that aren't going to be like super close leaning one side or the other. I was about to wrap up my stream. We somehow got into talking about politics and what a mess it is in the States. I hope your stream went well. Welcome to politics, everyone, from Soda Mugs' stream. We were playing with Carvey and Anima earlier in Mario Party. It was pretty fun. But anyway, this is why I like to go to for like news kind of based stuff with like current conflicts and like political landscape on the world scale. And in terms of more local scale about like things that people tend to get heated about, I like Common Ground Conversations. A lot of people really don't like him because I think a lot of people just immediately associate him as, oh, what was that guy's name? The guy that was like the change my mind guy. The thing that got memed to oblivion. This guy. Where it's like he goes into it like fully prepared to defend like one specific side, and then I think he was like super right leaning, this guy, if I recall, and everyone was like super fed up with him because it's like, okay, like he's here fully prepared with like his whole script and all his things for his arguments, whereas the random passersby are not. So his videos are gonna make it seem like he's so obviously in the right when it's like not really. So I think a lot of people see this guy and assume that he's the same and then like naturally hate him because of that. But what I like about him is like sometimes at the beginning of videos he will briefly offer his own opinion, like just for anyone that's curious, and then like the videos themselves will be cut up into like interviews with different people, and he just lets them talk and share their own opinion, and he'll only share his if they ask him. Like, he's not going to interject unless it's like to challenge them to understand what their viewpoint is more. And even if someone is saying something that he completely agrees with, he'll still have arguments from the other side that he'll challenge them with to try and dig deeper to see what their viewpoint is and like get them to think even more about their viewpoint, like if they want to question their own viewpoint or if they want to strengthen their own viewpoint even further. And I really like that. It's been a little while since I've checked out some of them. Like you can see which ones I'm pretty sure I've clicked on like some of these other ones. I don't know why it doesn't show for all of them, but that's something that I like about it, where it's like it's just genuinely asking people, what is your opinion? You have the floor, and then continuing to expand and like talk about that. So that's something that I like about this channel, where you're not coming to this channel to be like super far right or super far left. Like you're genuinely just going to hear what people think and their own arguments on the matter. And he always tries to get someone of like each viewpoint in there. And doesn't always have like the best people for each viewpoint. Like which one was it? There was one of these where it's like the only person that you could get for like one side was someone that seemed like he was clearly out of his mind, and he was like, man, I really didn't want to include this in my video, but this was, I think it was the vaccine one. I think it was the vaccine mandate one, where it's like, are you for vaccines and for mandates, or are you for mandates but against vaccines, or are you for vaccines but against mandates, and all these things. And I think it was the one person that was against both mandates and vaccines in general that seemed like he was a little bit out of his mind, and he was like, man, I didn't really want to put this guy in the video because he doesn't really seem like he makes that good of an argument for that side, but literally no one else came up that was like anti-vaccine completely, so like he's the one I have to put in here. And I like how he tries to do that, where it's like get at least one person of like each side, and that's something that I like there. But a lot of people also treat him like a villain just for asking the question at all. Again, one reason could be because they think that he's like the same as this guy, where it's like he's just gonna like parade his own thoughts and that's it. And there are also just some people that say, like, if you don't immediately instinctually think what we think, then that means like you're so obviously in the wrong and we're gonna completely shame you and treat you like a villain. And it's like, well, that's not how you're gonna win other people over to your side. Like, I think it was the one on abortion, I think. Yeah, I think it was this one here, where the mere fact that he had a sign that said like, are you pro-life or pro-choice? And like, I'm interviewing people, what do you think? The mere fact that he had that sign had people coming up to him and like insulting him and treating him like he's the biggest idiot ever for even asking such a thing. And it's like, really? We really can't just like sit down and talk about it? And like, the patience of this guy is unreal, where it's like he genuinely tries to understand what people are arguing and what their stance is, even as they're like in his face and insulting him. So like, big props to this guy. So I like him to understand like what people's political opinions are, and he's Australian, so this is going to be like the opinions of people in Australia that he's interviewing. And in terms of like current big scale kind of conflicts and stuff, I like real life lore is the thing that I like to do. And yeah, it is honestly stress inducing. Sometimes they're honestly hard videos to watch on his channel. Like, it is a little bit difficult at times, but it is also kind of eye-opening of like, wow, are we really going at one another's throats so much just for the sake of like asking the question? And yeah, honestly, like, I don't think I'd be able to do that. Like, so props there. So those are like some of my favorite YouTube channels for like just learning more about the world and what people are thinking and stuff like that. Those are a couple of my go-to. So yeah, if I had to recommend one more than the other, it'd probably be Real Life Lore though. I quite like them, especially a lot lately with me listening to them a lot during work. I think that's pretty cool. I'll switch my input back over here. So that's what I'd recommend. In terms of just like news article stuff in general, I don't read it as much as I should. I do from time to time, but my personal news outlet of choice is Reuters, which is spelled R-E-U-T-E-R-S. Is what I like to go to, because I remember my history teacher in high school recommended it as like a platform that tries to just like get into the facts of the matter without biases. And I haven't been on them as much lately. I don't know if that's changed over the years. Like, I will be there from time to time, but it still seems pretty good. So general like news article outlet, that would be the one that I would personally recommend. So yeah, that's kind of my go-tos there. Is the case here. But yeah, I kind of forgot about this channel though. You'll subscribe to it right away with real life lore there. I appreciate the follow there. Emesis? Yes, Emesis there. Emesis. I also check out Common Ground Conversations. It's been a long time since I've checked out his channel. Like, it's been a while since I've clicked on a new video. Maybe I'll have to check out some again at some point. And who knows, maybe the stuff that I was just preaching and parading about that is completely wrong. And maybe like the channel is like super right or left leaning now instead of being like pretty neutral. So maybe I'm just talking out my ass here. But like the whole thing about the channel was meant to be like, let's not lean more towards one side or the other and just try to find like common ground where we agree and like everyone gets the floor. I'm not going to try and shut you down and stuff. You're here to ruin friendships. Unfortunately, the friendship ruining has already happened. I'm getting ready to wrap up the stream. We're just kind of wrapping up like some conversation of other stuff that like came up. We got into politics at the end of the stream. So I started talking about American politics and like outlets now to like find news without it being influenced by biases. So yeah, routers is my go-to there. And who knows if that's still the case or if it's the case with like Common Ground Conversation or whatever the heck. Or maybe it's been so long since I've actually watched a video on that channel and maybe I'm completely wrong thinking that and I'm talking out my ass here. Like, who knows? Like, I'm not going to say that something is for sure this case when I don't know. Like, for sure, because it's been a hot second. I'm really happy you got to hang out for quite some time recently on these streams. Got a chance to discuss about some cool stuff. Yeah, some cool stuff ended up coming up. Not the Blue Shuckle. Blue Shuckle episode sucked ass, actually. Oh, from that being an episode you watched. Also, can I show my Shuckle poster thinking about Shuckle here? If I turn my camera, like, if I bring it all the way around, you might be able to barely see it. It's behind my lights, so, no, not that way. There's my guitar. All right, if we bring it around the other way, because I have a Shuckle poster right behind there, but I don't know if the camera would be able to see it, is the case. Look, there's the game. There's my TV and stuff. Hold on. If I turn off the light really quickly. Whoops, that's Discord. Light on my phone. Turn that off. Okay, let's see here. So there's a Snorlax getting real tired of your shit. Oh, there's the Diglett, the Swole Follow Your Dreams. Oh, I think the Shuckle is right behind the light, so you can't see it. So you can't see my Don't Fuckle with Shuckle poster. That sucks. That's unfortunate. Oh well. Oh well, sucks to suck there. Put my light back on. There we go. Anyway, I was just gonna add that to the conversation of the Shuckle emote. Yeah, let's see here. Where the Blue Shuckle come from? Was it an anime episode or something else? Wait, I thought you just said that it was from an episode. If I have time posted a part of the episode about 10 seconds long that basically shows what the episode was about on the Discord server. It was really weird and uncomfortable after how just nothing the previous episodes were. You both like and dislike what I did because of that. Basically had to game me out almost. Interesting. Like, I've seen every single episode of Pokemon up until Generation 4, at least. But it's been so long that I wouldn't remember. Oh, I don't see it on the Discord. Oh, unless it's, like, not a new message and it's an old thing. Oh, yeah, it's an old thing here. Should I be scared? I'll check it out here really briefly. I can't hear anything. Well, I don't even know. Maybe there's just no audio with the clip. Who knows? I'll use my imagination and say it was super crazy. Not this. Higher up. Okay. Oh. I don't remember this from watching the anime. I do not remember whatever this was. Should I be worried? Am I about to get demonetized? All right, no audio there either, I don't think. I'm... Okay, wow. Yeah, I don't remember watching that. Like, I'm sure I would have at one point, but I do not remember watching it. Wow. Okay, well. Yeah, I could just use one's imagination there. That's certainly something. But yeah, we did a lot of Mario Party today. All the boards are showcased now. I've been playing with a bunch of friendos. Not all the friendos that I plan on playing with yet. And we got into talking about politics a decent bit at the end of the stream, just like during the Partners in Time playthrough. Somehow, some way, somehow, after that ended up coming up. So yeah, great to have a great political discussion here, huh? So yeah, I'm really, really afraid for next month on the potential outcome of the election. Like, I really, really hope that nothing crazy happens and that we don't end up getting caught in another world war. Is what I'm really hoping here. So yeah, we'll see what happens next month. And maybe by the time this is published on YouTube, it will have already happened. Because I already had like up to part 30 before this stream here. And this has been 6.5 hours. So this is probably going to bring us into like, I don't know, part, close to part 50-ish or something like that. Maybe part 45 we'll be at this point. I don't know. We're probably at something like that by now. So yeah, this will be a decent bit into November. This gets published over on YouTube. So yeah, I'm gonna do a little bit more work on the past couple streams. Yeah, maybe part 45. And also, before I wrap things up, can I just really quickly say how, if I switch input back over. All right, psych, hold on. One last thing I want to show really quickly. If I go to my video producer, can I just say how with Mario Party the last few days has been, so the first day was 8 hours on Thursday. I played this game 2 days ago. Then yesterday, I played this game for 6.5 hours. And then the immediate following day today, I did another 6.5 hours. So, yeah. I'm kind of tired of, like, taking forever to get through new games that come out and being, like, one of the last people to be done with them. Like I was with Persona 3 earlier this year that's still ongoing. So Legend of Zelda Echoes of Wisdom, I beat start to finish in like the opening weekend. And I've been going ham on this in the opening weekend as well. Like, holy crap. So, yeah. There's that. There be that. Because so the first one was 8 hours, then you can see episode 45. The average part is 30 minutes. I think this would be like more like 36, maybe 38. Well, I know for sure last stream went up to 30 is what I went up to. And I usually try to average parts at about half an hour, but with this series, the way that's worked out is they're usually closer to 25 minutes on average, because it's like, I try to balance it out so that's like, one part will always be like the beginning of a new board, and then that board is going to take like 3 or 4 parts, and then it really depends on how long the mini games take, and then it's going to be variable there. And then I always want to start a new part on like the beginning of a new turn rather than in the middle of like an existing turn. So then it's a little bit variable. Like, what if a turn takes like super long because we have like a showdown mini game or something like that to get a new buddy or whatever the heck those mini games are called. So it's a little bit all over the place. But if a game is only lasting like an hour, 10 minutes, something like that, then I can't exactly cut that up into 3 half-an-hour parts, because there isn't 3 half-an-hours there as well. So every part is like 3 or 4 turns, something like that. And they're typically around like 22 to 29 minutes. Some of them are around half an hour, but that's just the way that's worked out better with this specific series. Imagine what if this became a longer series than Assassin's Creed Odyssey. There's no shot. Like, I'm basically done with most of my main showcase now. Like, in terms of stuff that I still want to do to showcase on my own time, there's the rest of the single player campaign here, which is like 2 or 3 more worlds. That won't take me super long. And then in terms of this mode here, I need to look this way now, because I gotta look on OBS, because I changed my thing Rob over here. I still gotta showcase the Paratrooper Flight School, the other things, when my arms feel a little bit better. So still gotta do this. I still gotta showcase a remix of this when I figure out how to unlock it. And then like 2 more maps of this, I think. And then I'll have showcased all the main stuff. And I guess the other modes here. So I still have a little decent bit left to showcase. And then from there, I'll just play this from time to time when opportunity comes up, when there's new people to play with. Which, who knows, maybe that means that there could be another stream of this game, even like a year from now. If like another opportunity comes up to play with new people and we want to play Mario Party or something like that. So I'm sure it's something that'll happen from time to time, but there's no shot it goes all the way past like Assassin's Creed Odyssey, even if Odyssey has like a clear endpoint, and this could go on in theory forever. Infinitely. So yeah, I don't know if it'll be that long. We'll see. There is a lot of content here. For reference, the Superstars playthrough. Oh, what length was it here? Let's see. If I just look at the overall Mario Party playlist here. Yeah, I cut things up weirdly back then. That was 6 years ago. Mario Party Superstars here. And we were doing like 15 turns each time. So Horrorland was 6 parts initially, and Peach's Birthday Cake was like 5 there, or whatever that was. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, so it was 5 or 6 for each of them. And they were about like 25-ish minutes, something like that. But yeah, we were doing 15 turn games there. So I did all the boards once, and then I think this was like the final new board that I played. So Yoshi's Tropical Island, I played that, and then I put Finale there because it's just like, hey, all the boards are done, so my obligatory stuff is done. Anytime that I play it from this point onward is just purely for fun. I did all the boards once. I'm done with like the playthrough of start to finish. the playthrough start to finish for this game will probably be like get the staff credits, I guess, because that's the thing that I can unlock, and all my things will probably be showcased by then. So I'll just get the credits and then put finale on that part. But then it goes on for like, how much more do I want to play whenever new opportunity comes up to play with new people. So because it was just like play 5 boards and then I'm done with the showcase of the last game, it was just 22-part series. But then I kept on playing it whenever opportunity arose. There's the Among Us. And then it went until 38, it looks like. And who knows, maybe I'll just randomly stream Superstars again. But I feel like I'd rather play this game at this point. Oh yeah, LAN gaming shenanigans. That was Fragapalooza 2023. Wow. So yeah, it happens from time to time. 2 years ago, 1 year ago. But I feel like this will be like the new go-to game. So yeah, it'll definitely be longer than this. Will definitely be the case. We're already at the point that's longer than this. Like, wow. There's a lot of content in this game, and I am glad that there is a lot of content in this game. Like, you're getting a lot more bang for your buck than with Superstars. I am starting to wonder if this might just be like my new favorite Mario Party game. Like, it's really good. Kind of Bowser Inside Story really weirdly. Yeah, that's the way it was in my early days of content creation. Yep, supports in 12 minutes while others are nearly 2 hours long. Yep, that sounds like me in 2018, back when I was still, oh, that would be 2019 actually, so still early days. And when I didn't really have like a consistent format and setup yet. 24th episode title is quite interesting. What did I title the 24th part? Let's see here. I can find it quickly if I go to my Mario RPG series. Part 24 was... Oh, you're saying in the last thing. And, of Superstars. Oh, well, it was still certainly interesting with the, with Bowser Inside Story. What did I call part 24 of Superstars again? Yeah, the ape proletariat prevails because Donkey Kong made the comeback. Yeah, so I was making, like, jokes about the bourgeoisie scum and proletariat. Like, I've made a couple times during this playthrough as well, because it's funny. At least to me. Maybe my sense of humor is different. I don't know. Anyway, I'm done. I know I can keep on rambling here for a decent while, but I'm not really doing anything. It's just rambling about stuff here. So I greatly appreciate everybody that tuned into another stream of Super Mario Party Jamboree. I need to remember the name of this game for a hot second. And yeah, I'm out here, so take care and see ya. Have a good night. If it's a night over there, then it's night over here. Whatever it is over there and anyone else that's watching. Day or night, whatever it is. See you later.